Let's start with a truth most of us were never told. Being a man in today's world is confusing, often lonely, and deeply misunderstood. And here's the twist. Many of the answers that could heal men, empower men, and help men rise are hidden beneath silence, shame, and outdated definitions of masculinity. This isn't a gotcha message to expose women or blame them. It's not about resentment. It's about reclaiming your truth and trusting that if you dig deep enough, you'll find not weakness, but untapped strength. From the moment many boys are old enough to express sadness, they're told to man up. Tears, weakness, fear, embarrassment, anger, acceptable, but only if it's controlled or useful. Everything else, suppress it, hide it, numb it. So what do men do? They toughen up, shut down, disconnect from the emotional parts of themselves that feel too vulnerable to expose. Because the message is loud and clear. Pain is a threat to your masculinity. But here's the hard truth most people won't say out loud. Numbness is not strength. It's survival. It's a defense mechanism. It's what happens when a person doesn't feel safe enough to be real. Numbness looks like silence in a relationship when you're really hurting. It looks like overworking instead of asking for help. It's hiding behind sarcasm when what you truly need is support. It's the inability to say, I miss you, I'm struggling, or I feel alone, because those words feel like failure. And over time, numbness doesn't just protect you, it robs you. It robs you of joy. It robs you of deep connection. It even robs you of feeling proud of who you are, because you can't truly love yourself if you can't feel yourself. So being numb disconnects you from the world, your loved ones, and your own internal compass. It creates a version of masculinity that looks powerful on the outside, but is quietly crumbling on the inside. Strength is not the absence of emotion. True strength is emotional fluency. It's being able to sit with grief and not run. It's holding fear and not being ruled by it. It's allowing your heart to stay open when your ego screams for armor. Real men, listen closely. Feeling deeply is not a feminine trait. It's a human one. And reclaiming your emotions is not regression. It's liberation. You weren't born to be a robot. You were born to be whole. And your power doesn't come from being untouchable. It comes from being unapologetically real. From a young age, boys are celebrated for what they do, not who they are. They're praised when they win, respected when they achieve, admired when they appear in control. And over time, this message gets internalized. If I'm not useful, I'm disposable. So men become hyper-focused on performance. They hustle, they build, they carry burdens silently, thinking their worth comes from how much they can do, earn, or endure. But here's the truth that rarely gets spoken. You were not created just to be someone's ATM, mechanic, therapist, or hero. You are not a project manager for everyone else's life. You are not a walking solution. And your purpose goes far beyond keeping everything running smoothly on the outside while you fall apart on the inside. When your identity becomes tied to only what you can give, it's easy to lose connection with who you are. Yes, providing is noble. Yes, being dependable is powerful. But you are more than your utility. You are not just valuable when you fix a problem or save the day. You are valuable when you're still, when you're unsure, when you're learning, growing, healing. There are men who have the house, the car, the job, the family, and still feel empty. Why? Because checking off society's boxes doesn't equal fulfillment. You can provide for everyone else and still starve your own soul. You can impress the world and still feel invisible to yourself. You are not here to be impressive. You are here to be authentic, to be present, to be awake to your own heart, to love without needing control, to lead without ego, to exist fully, not just function endlessly. You are more than your paycheck, more than your performance, more than your ability to hold everything together. You are a whole human being, and your worth was never meant to be earned through exhaustion or applause. Let yourself be seen, not just for what you do, but for who you are. Because that's the version of you the world is dying to meet. From the moment boys show any sign of vulnerability, the world begins whispering or shouting, don't let them see you sweat. Don't cry, don't complain, don't admit you're afraid. Because the second you show emotion, someone will call it weakness. And worse, they'll say it's not manly. So what do most men do? They armor up, they hide their pain, they trade softness for sarcasm, anxiety for control, and loneliness for pride. And eventually this lie gets tattooed on the male identity. If I want to be respected, I have to stay guarded. But here's the raw truth that shatters that lie. You can be vulnerable and deeply respected. Not only is it possible, it's powerful. Real respect doesn't come from fear. It doesn't come from pretending to have it all together. It comes from people seeing the whole of you, your courage, your wounds, your resilience, and your truth, and choosing to honor it. When a man says, I'm struggling, but I'm not giving up, that's not weakness. That's leadership. That's the kind of man people trust, not because he wears a mask, but because he's willing to remove it. Vulnerability isn't about spilling everything. It's not about being soft or emotionally chaotic. It's about being honest. It's about telling your truth even when your voice shakes. It's being strong enough to say, I don't have all the answers, and still standing tall in that uncertainty. Think about it. What kind of man do you respect more? The one who hides behind ego and bravado, or the one who shows up real, grounded, and emotionally aware? The world needs fewer men performing and more men present. Men who know they don't need to shrink their hearts to expand their influence. Men who can say, I love you, I need help, or that hurt me, and still walk out of the room with their dignity intact. We were taught that respect has to be demanded. But the truth is, respect is earned by integrity, emotional courage, and self-awareness. And none of that exists without vulnerability. So yes, you can be vulnerable. And yes, you can still be deeply respected. In fact, that might be the very reason you are. From the time you were young, the world began building a script for you. It whispered, this is what a real man looks like. It handed you a checklist. Make money, be tough, don't cry, be admired by women, never show weakness, be in control of yourself, of others, of everything. And without even realizing it, you started performing. You worked harder, you got stronger, you pushed down emotion, bit your tongue, ignored your fatigue, because the world made you believe that's what you had to do to be enough. But here's what no one tells you. That script isn't yours. Those standards aren't yours. And that checklist, it's a trap. You've spent years chasing a version of manhood built by people who never knew you, never saw your heart, and never cared about your healing. And what happens when you finally check all the boxes? The house, the job, the body, the approval, and yet you still feel empty because external success does not fix internal abandonment. Let that land for a moment. You were never meant to measure your worth by how little you feel, or how much you earn, or how many people you can impress while hiding your true self. You were never meant to silence your soul in order to be respected. We live in a world that teaches men to build empires but not intimacy, to conquer everything except their own shame, to chase applause, even if it means abandoning authenticity. But ask yourself, what's the cost of living a life that doesn't belong to you? How many men are walking around exhausted, not from work, but from wearing a mask? How many are successful on paper, but starving in their spirit? How many have never even stopped to ask, what do I want? What does being a man mean to me? You have every right to reject standards that shrink your humanity. You have every right to redefine masculinity, not as a performance, but as a presence. Imagine a life where you no longer have to chase validation, where you measure your growth not by dominance, but by depth, not by perfection, but by peace. You don't need to man up. You need to come home to who you really are before the world told you who you had to be. Because your life is not a stage. It's a sacred space, and you get to decide the rules. One of the most dangerous lies in our culture is this: if someone is successful, they must be okay. And men especially get trapped in this illusion. You're praised when you keep moving. You're admired when you achieve. You're respected when you stay strong and silent. So what do many men do when they're in pain? They grind harder. They throw themselves into work. They set the next goal. They silence the ache by building something louder than their truth. Because slowing down would mean feeling, and feeling would mean facing. And the world has never made that feel safe. But here's the reality most never say aloud. Not all pain looks like tears or breakdowns. Some of the deepest pain wears a suit, shows up early, and overperforms. Some pain is dressed in status, titles, and bank accounts. Some pain hides behind sarcasm and success. It hides behind, I've got this. It hides behind, I'm good, man. It hides behind the applause. So many men are quietly suffering in plain sight. Winning on the outside, wilting on the inside. Because if your only coping mechanism is achievement, then you'll keep building even when you're bleeding, even when you're empty, even when the thing you're chasing isn't even what you want. Success without self-connection is just another form of escape. It might look impressive, but if it comes at the cost of your soul, it's not success, it's suffocation in disguise. You see, the world rewards pain that's productive. If your wounds help you hustle, people will clap. But what they won't ask is whether you're actually okay, whether the version of you that's performing is the same as the one crying in the dark. And that's where the danger lives, because a man who's not allowed to rest, feel, or ask for help becomes a man who forgets how to live. He starts existing only for output, not joy, only for proving, not belonging, only for recognition, not real peace. Let this be the wake-up call. You don't have to suffer in silence just because you're succeeding in public. You don't have to hide your humanity behind your hustle. Your pain is not a weakness to conquer. It's a message to listen to. It's asking for care, not competition. And you deserve a version of success that includes your wholeness. You deserve a life that celebrates you, not for how much you can produce or pretend, but for how deeply you can feel, heal, and be real. Because healing doesn't always look like breaking down. Sometimes it looks like finally slowing down long enough to feel what you've been running from. And that right there is the beginning of true success. There's a narrative out there that says masculinity is under attack, that men are being asked to tone it down, dim it out, or step aside, that the world no longer values the strong, stoic, capable man. But here's the deeper truth no one's saying clearly enough. The world isn't asking you to be less of a man, it's asking you to be more of a human. And that's a big difference. You see, masculinity isn't toxic.